Coach.
Yes.
What do you see? And everybody got to kind of see Dallas play last Sunday night game. How did you, break down the film on what they were trying to do? And the 49ers had a lead at half, then scored a lot late there.
Yeah, I mean, two really good teams, obviously, with the 49ers and Dallas. I know Dallas is not, having the year they want thus far, but they are extremely talented. They have a really good scheme, and they've had success before. Obviously, very recently, the last 3 years, I think it's 13-plus games they've won. And so this is a really, really talented team that we're facing. But to your question on Sunday, man, it was two really talented teams squaring off, went down to the fourth quarter, and then the 49ers ended up, getting the victory on their home turf.
How's Dak been playing this year?
How's Dak been? Yeah. I first of all, I think the world of his resume and what he's done, and I think he's playing at a high level. He puts the ball where he wants it to, where he wants. I think they've thrown the ball a little bit more this year than they have in the past, and so that's obviously putting a little bit more on his shoulders. But it's Dak Prescott. He's one of the top quarterbacks in this league, and I got all the respect in the world for him.
And the wide receiver, how special is CD Lamb?
Extremely special. Extremely special. Every week we always talk about, we get asked, whoever it is, there's always that special guy on every single team, offense, defense, and CD Lamb is definitely one of them.
And they haven't been able to run the ball. How does that, do you kind of like, you don't want them to bust out on you, I would imagine. How do you approach that? That you see they have their struggles in the run game. You want to try to make sure they keep struggling.
No doubt. And a lot of it's attempts as well. Like I mentioned just earlier, they've thrown the ball a little bit more than they've had in the last 3 years, 4 years or so. And so I still have extreme respect for their run game, for their running backs, for their offensive line. If they want to start handing the ball off, starting this week and weeks to come, I could see them definitely running the ball better than they have in the first part of the season.
Kirk was in here yesterday, and he said that something along the lines of, I hope everyone knows by now that Jesse Bates is the best safety in the NFL. He just continues to make huge plays and force turnovers. Can you just talk a little bit about Jesse and what he brings to this team?
Yeah, I mean, it's every week. We see it on game day. We get to see it in practice. Kirk gets to see it in practice. He made a play today. It happened again twice, actually, today. He made a couple plays today in practice where we're like, okay, there it is right there. He makes these plays in practice, and sure enough, it happens on game day. He's special. He's a special player. The closest thing I've seen to it in my career is Rondé Barber. Rondé Barber was always around the ball. He was always forcing fumbles. He was around to scoop and score. He was around to pick the ball off, score, and that is the closest thing I've seen to it. And Rondé Barber is now enshrined in the Hall of Fame, and so that's what type of level of play that Jesse Bates III is playing at right now.
He kind of coined the phrase, maybe accidentally outrun the South, and it feels like that's something that the guys have really responded to and have rallied around. What have you seen as far as that, and what does that phrase kind of mean to you?
Yeah, he said that in our first team meeting, and got everybody fired up, coaches, personnel, staff, everybody, and through our first 4 division opponents, obviously we've shown that, and we know. I think what it means to me is we have to take care. We know if we take care of our division, then we will get a punch a ticket, most likely to a playoff game, and so. Once you get a seat in the dance, who knows what's going to happen. You get hot at the right time, and all of a sudden, we're in New Orleans. And so I love the way Raheem sent that message throughout the team and the organization is, hey, we need to take care of the South, and then once we get that place and that seat in the playoffs, anything can happen.
We talked a lot with you about the pass rush over the last few weeks, and it did seem like it was getting better, and even Raheem said a couple of days ago this week was a little bit of a regression.
No doubt.
How much does that frustrate you, and what are the kind of things you guys are doing this week to kind of try to get back on that trajectory?
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. We definitely took a step back, and I'll say this as well. It's always rush and coverage, and I think our rush wasn't what we wanted it to be last Sunday, but also our coverage wasn't either, and And so if we're making mistakes in the back end and the quarterback's able to get rid of the ball as quick as Baker did, then it doesn't matter how many guys we're rushing at the quarterback, the ball's going to be out fast if we're not covering properly. And so it was a combination of all those things. And it starts with coaching, starts with me. We got to make sure our guys are on point. And then obviously it trickles down to our players. We got to make sure we execute better. And this is part of the journey. That's what this is. It's part of the journey. We get back in those meeting rooms, get back on the practice field. We work at it, and we continue to work at it. And I know eventually we're going to break through and see the production that we want.
You guys have talked about the level of preparation this week has kind of been upped with like the communication with the outside linebackers and the interior guys. Just what does that look like this week in the meeting rooms?
Yeah, so it's constantly evolving. We're always trying to grow and develop, and we're trying to reach every single player in every single position group. And so if certain things aren't we feel as a coaching staff aren't getting heard and we're not getting the results that we want, we're not just going to sit there and just kind of just do the same thing over and over. And so that's why I love this job and we love doing this. It's all part of the journey. And so tweak things a little bit here or there. Maybe they hear the message a little bit different, and then this time hopefully our production will speak to some to the new ways we're doing things and kind of switching things around. And hopefully we see that on Sunday and moving forward.
What gives you confidence that you're going to get there to get the kind of production you want?
Yeah, this is every single football season that I've been a part of, or our coaching staff's been a part of. We're never where we want to be in the beginning of the season. We're never where we want to be in the middle of the season. And usually when we start hitting our stride at the right time, that's when championships come and that's when championship rings come. And so every season I've been a part of, it's always been like this. There's always certain area in all three phases, offense, defense, special teams, that everyone's going to focus on it as your weakness, and then we start to work on those things, and then we catch fire towards the end of the season. Then here we go. That's how football goes.
When you watch Matthew play, what do you see in the way he's performing in his snaps?
This last game?
Just overall.
Overall, yeah, I think I think him and the rest of our 11, all the guys on defense. There's a lot of positives, and then there's also things. Hey, we can improve on this, and that's what I would say with Judon. He's got a lot of positives. And but there's also things that I'm sure he would say as well. There's things that he can improve on, and that's what we're continuing to work on, point it out, and get out to practice, work on those drills, work on those keys, work on those reads, work on the get off, work on tack and blocks, pass rush, whatever it may be, a drop, and make sure we shore that up so he can correct those during the week and then play better on Sundays.
I know what I know about football. Couldn't fill a thimble, but when I watch him against tackles or tight ends, it seems like he has a really hard time disengaging and using his speed or whatever to go out to that side. Kind of what do you see in those moments?
Yeah, so I would disagree with that, and I don't know which exact play you're talking about, but so yeah, I would disagree with that.
He's getting double teamed, but there was a stat today he's getting double teamed more than he has since 2018. How much of that is kind of also playing into the fact that he's maybe not as productive as he has been?
Yeah, I think that plays a part. And now if someone's getting double teamed, which somebody always does on every single play, then now the rest of the guys got to come alive. And so that's also a positive for our unit. So if one player, and you're saying Judon, but another play could be somebody else. Well, now we should have 3 1-on-1s, and now those 3 1-on-1s, if it's a 4-man rush. Let's go. Here we go. We got to win. At least one of us has got to win, or hopefully all three of us got to win.
What do you know about the Crash Out crew and Bloody Knuckles crew?
That sounds. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, Crash Out crew, Jesse told us yesterday, was something that he and AJ coined, and it's with the DBs, and then the Bloody Knuckles crew is him and Nate just like punching balls out and keeping that up. So you haven't heard?
I have not.
Before.
I have not. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to dive into that, hear about that.
Just, Jesse, I don't know, creating those whether they're catchphrases or just like mantras, but being in with the guys and creating that camaraderie, what does that mean for, just the team?
Yeah, no, and that speaks to Jesse's leadership. Jesse is one of the best leaders I've been around, and we talked about his football play, but when you see him in the building, you see him in walkthroughs and at practice, how he goes about his business. He is one of the best leaders I've been around. And so you sharing that story, which I didn't know about, that's part of being a leader. It's part of, bringing everybody together. Hey, we're going for this common cause, making it fun, having a fun nickname for, I didn't remember what you said, but whatever that was, that creates a camaraderie for the team, especially on defense. And so that just speaks to Jesse Bates' leadership.
AJ's had a couple more takeaways this season than he's had in the last few. Just what does that, say about the level of preparation that he's taken? He mentioned that he's learned a lot from him.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for him, and there's more to come. There's more to come. More interceptions to come is what I'm talking about. So excited for him. I've seen him put the work in. Obviously you should talk to Jesse Bates, one of the best ball skills in the world right now, and so that's a good guy to talk to. But I also see him, before practice, after practice, catching footballs, working on it, working on his footwork, working on his vision, working on his breaks. Watching a ton of film. Every time I go in the film room, he's always on his iPad before I start the meeting in the defense. He's in there. He's studying himself. He's also studying his opponent, the scheme, and he's putting the work in, and the work's paying off.
Jimmy, I want to ask you about AJ's interception that he had in that game, because it looked like he was, I don't know if he was coming off an assignment to make that play. First of all, just what do you recall from what he did on that play?
Yeah, so he was actually he was a zone third corner in that play, and so what he was doing is he was kind of midpointing in between those two verticals. They tried to get Jalen McMillan right there on a wheel route out of the backfield on our safety, and so AJ did an excellent job of playing in the middle of both, and then as soon as Baker launched and tried to get the wheel. Which we knew, as soon as you put the receiver in the backfield, that's kind of telling everybody, okay, the ball is going to him. And so AJ played it really smart. There's a lot of corners would dive down on that dig route that he was actually covering, but he stayed back, saw the vision, and just made an incredible break, an incredible play. It was just a great play, above the neck play, but also an athletic play as well.
I was going to ask you, you kind of answered it there, but that's kind of the next step for him, but just the next step for any kind of corner to have those kind of in the moment instincts and reactions to make those plays like Jesse Bates, like we've seen
right.
Kind of make those similar kinds of plays. Right on.
Yeah, and I think also for AJ, he's playing a mixture of coverages this year. He was locked in to playing a lot of press coverage in the past couple of years, where you're not going to get a lot of interception ops playing just bump man every single play. And not saying anything negative about that. That's a way you can play good football as well. But we play a mixture of coverages, and so now there's times when AJ's up. Sometimes he's back. Sometimes he's back in man. Sometimes he's back in more of a zone mentality, which he was on the play against Tampa Bay.
Raheem said regarding the pass rush again that he's seen different performance in practice than you're seeing in games. I'm curious, kind of what are you seeing out there that maybe is giving you kind of confidence that it'll be able to translate?
Yeah, no, that's extremely correct. We've had some good production. Now, obviously, we're not going to go take Kirk or Mike Penix down to the ground. In practice, we obviously don't want to do that. Hurt our own guys. And I think we've seen the pass rush moves, and we've seen the pocket close, making it difficult on Kirk, making it difficult on Mike Penix. And but now we need to see that translate over to the game, is what Raheem was speaking to. And so now there's that finish component. We've had a lot of times where we've been right there at the quarterback, haven't been able to get him down on the ground, whether we bounce off of him and they scramble, or we're just there kind of hanging on, and then they get rid of the ball and they throw it away. And so now it's not translating to a sack. And so we have to be better finishers on the quarterback.
And that's from like good and good is when you're doing those sessions.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
The finishing part, kind of like, what are you seeing there, and how do you get that better?
In the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
That's what's not good enough in the game. Yep. So we get another rehearsal out on Sunday.
I want to ask you a little bit about Bijan and Tyler, and
Yeah.
they're kind of like a two-headed monster back there. What have you seen as far as growth with Bijan in year two? What is he doing better, and how is he growing?
It's you can't say enough good things about both of those backs, and both are unique. But I think Bijan, you just see there's the comfort. You just see him being more and more comfortable in the things that we ask him to do, and just, I mean, obviously when he gets the ball in his hands, he's special, and it's been really fun to just watch his growth and development. And just the thing I really enjoy about Tyler and Bijan with my group is the relationship, and it's, you know, you see it that first year, kind of go throughout the year, and now this year, like, it's so fun to watch those guys work together. And they're always talking. They're like, Bijan's always coming around them, both of them. And it's just, it's very well, they're so connected right now. And that's the special thing about it, just the relationship that those two rooms have with one another.
Chris told me that, like, they come to, like, teams, like, you know, O-line dinners and stuff like
Yep.
that. Like, they're, you know.
And I think that's special, man. I think the more connected you are, the more that the harder that you're going to play for one another. It means more, like, when you feel like somebody really cares about you. And I think that when you get connected like that as a team, and as even the different position groups, you know, you'll have it naturally with quarterbacks and receivers, with the offensive line. A lot of times it's with the quarterbacks, but also with the running backs. When those guys are connected, man, it's special. It's really special.
Your O-line, you know, lost guys like Drew, you know, even Caleb for a little bit. Newsel comes in, Storm Norton comes in, even like Hinton comes in.
Yep.
Chris is out. I mean, a lot of talent there, but also the depth, and then you know, the next man up mentality. How important is that?
Yeah. You know, we talk about that going into training camp every year. Like, hey, at some point, the 6th, 7th, 8th guy, you guys are going to have to be ready. And, you know, and so when it does happen, because you want those guys to prepare as if they're going in there. And that's the tough thing about being a backup. You don't know when that number is going to be called. And you could be over there on the sideline, and all of a sudden, hey, somebody, and you got to instantly right now be able to flip in your mind, go out there now, I got to go out there and perform and play. And so you got to prepare as each week. And sometimes you can prepare and prepare and prepare, and it never comes to where you get to go out there. For those guys to get those opportunities and be able to go out, and from my standpoint, play very well, like, you're very happy as a coach because they got to see that, hey, I know that, you know, we talk about this, but they actually got to go out and they played a big part in us being able to do some of the things that we were doing. And, you know, it's important to have that depth, and those guys have worked hard. And the cool thing about it is, like, you'll see Chris and Kyle, their interactions on the sidelines. You'll see them at practice throughout the week. You'll see Newsel and Drew, the way they interact with each other, helping each other out in between series and what they're both seeing from the sideline. And so it's just everybody's trying to do their part and helping each other out.
Raheem kind of coined the phrase "outrun the South."
Yep.
And it seems like everyone's kind of rallied, you know, around that. What does that phrase mean to you, and why do you think the guys have rallied around that so much?
You know, it's the whole thing, like, hey, whatever is going to be placed in front of us, like, full speed, let's go charge it now. You know, and let's not let off when we're going now. So the season's here. We trained all training camp. We're into the season now. So now, hey, it's full speed. Let's be that locomotive. Let's be full speed ahead. Whatever comes our way, let's be ready to attack it. And when we're doing it, let's keep that pedal down now. And so it's just like that mentality of, like, obviously playing fast. Tomorrow we can't worry about yesterday. All right, there's going to be some bumps in the roads, but we got to. It's straight ahead. It's what can we do now? And so, and it's just. And I love it. And, you know, I love the guy. I love how Raheem has brought that phrase to life with us. And I like the fact how the players have really taken a grasp and really just kind of taken a hold of that as well. And it's fun. You know, it's fun seeing those guys respond to it.
Where would Outrun the South rank on the pro wrestling catchphrase meter? 316. Where would you put that? Who's next?
I like it, man. Like, I would definitely say it's up there. I like it a lot, man. Outrun the South. I love it. So sign me up for it.
On this topic of, like, guys communicating and helping each other, how does Kirk play into that? Because I was actually talking to a colleague of mine who actually played as a tackle here in 2014, I think it was. And he said he noticed Kirk having a conversation with Kyle Hinton during the game. He's like, why would the quarterback be talking to the right guard and like, you know, going over an iPad or something? So like, how does that kind of keep?
Oh, it's huge. You know, there's, and that's the thing that, you know, when that next person gets in there, it happens. Those games, it's so fast, and like the communication. By the time you get when the play gets in there, communication from the quarterback to that O-line up there, and then from what the defense shows you, how the picture can change. The communication up front with that quarterback just so important with it, and being able to come on the sideline now and be able to communicate it with one another. And so, and I think Kirk is outstanding. He's been great with just, you know, just for one, like you always see him with the guys and just being there, but also they understand like that communication, that line of communication is open. Like he wants it. He wants to know like, hey, hey, can we work on a different cadence here? Hey, did you get my call when we changed who we were working to here? And so he absolutely welcomes it, and the feedback between Kirk and the offensive line, I think, has been really good, been really special. Like it's as a coach, it's kind of like you kind of just stand back and just watch it, and it's been pretty special all year.
Matthew Bergeron seems like he's having a really solid year this year, and I know that when he was drafted, it was probably thought of as a bit of a project, kind of going from tackle to guard. And I just wanted to ask you how you feel like his development has been, obviously like throughout his career, but then especially this season.
Yeah, you know, I've been extremely pleased with his development, and it's kind of like what you said. Like you know, you knew that, you know, coming in, playing tackle, having to now go play guard. You know, just how different that is. And not only that, you're not doing it in college, you're doing it in the NFL now, where these three techniques and some of these defensive linemen, they don't make it easy for you. And so he has done an outstanding job. I think that you can see certain things in his game get better each week. And I thought last year it was kind of ascending throughout the season. It didn't seem like he was ever plateauing. And to me, I think it's continuing to do so this year as well. I'm very happy with his play.
Raheem was asked yesterday about the defense's pass rush, and one thing he mentioned was that he thought, like, in practice they were seeing some results when you guys go good on good. And we're asking Jimmy about that also just a minute ago, and he was saying, yeah, your same thing was just we just got to finish. And I'm curious, when you've had that good on good, and you're obviously at home, you know, you talk bad about your own guys, but kind of what do you think from the defensive side of their progresses in the pass rush?
Oh, I'm over there trying to get the tackles to not get beat, and working on the games that they're presenting us and everything like that. Because like for me, it's my eyes are always focused on, all right, I'm watching so and so's footwork here. How's his hands? All right, is he seeing this game happen? And so that's where and so like when we're getting picked, or like if the tackle's taking a poor set or he's opening up or something like that, then that's what I'm focusing on. And believe me, like we got plenty to work on talking about as far as like my guys and stuff like that with him.
Coach, how tough was it for Hinton to go in that left guard one game and right guard the next?
Hey, it's a lot, no doubt, man. Like when you're that swing guy on the inside, just like a swing tackle, you got to be ready, and that's the challenge because you only got a certain number of minutes at practice and certain number of reps that you got. And I think it's very special when a guy he tries to balance doing both throughout the week. But then all of a sudden it pops up in a game where now, like, all right, the lights are on now. And to be able to go out there and execute, that says a lot about his preparation. And so I was very, very pleased with how he prepares and how he's ready each Sunday for us. And he provides a valuable position for us.
And pass protection has been, really good this year. What has been the key to the group keeping people off of Kirk?
Well, you know, I think that it's always a work in progress, and I think that it's just something that, you know, there's still a lot of things that we need to clean up, and there's things that we can get better at and do better. But you know, I just think that, you know, whatever it is this year, I think these guys are wanting no obstacle to get in their way of what they want to achieve this year. And they're doing a great job of attacking things that might be an issue or that they know they have to really go and attack and get better. And I think just the work ethic and how these guys have just gone about just that every day, just that growth mindset every day of going out and just trying to find what is that one little thing I could get better at.
Because in the last couple of years, y'all were in the top 10 running balls. So everybody, okay, yeah, they can run block. But now you're in the top 10 in every, the 4 key offensive categories, and the pass protection's been looked like the thing that made the biggest leap.
Well, and I think for our group, for the offensive line, you want to have pride in showing that you have the ability where you can do both. And I think that when you can show that you can do both, then I think you got something pretty special. And so like it's a thing where, hey, whatever's called, whatever we're called to do, we got to be able to go out and execute. It might be we might have to drop back and pass protect, and we might have to be called on to, hey, let's go open up this run lane now. And it's just that mindset of, hey, whatever it is, good, let's go do it now.
As a run game coordinator, how fun is it for you to have a tight end and a guy like Charlie Warner, who, and I guess the way that Zach is using him too in some of these interesting
Charlie's,
things that he's doing.
yeah, and Charlie's outstanding. Like, first and foremost, he's a great human being, and just like having him around and having him in the locker room, just being with the guys and stuff like that, he's first class. And then the things that Zach is having him to do on offense, and just the things that he's able to do for us, and some of the things that you see when you're watching film or watching the games, I think Charlie's special, man. I think that he can do a lot. He plays a lot of roles, and very, very happy with Charlie being here. That's for sure.
If I'm not mistaken, there was a run play where Drake was like right on the line, and he was used basically like a tight end, or I think it was in the first half against him, but like he's kind of the same thing where he's. You don't always think of receivers contributing to the run game.
Yeah, no doubt. When we talk about the run game, and the first thing that we talk about when we bring all the guys together, it takes all 11. And it's got to be that mindset from the receivers, even to the quarterback, with his fakes and stuff afterward, carrying those out. Like, it's important that all 11 has to be a part of it for it to really to be what you want it to be. And I think, like, when you watch Drake and his unselfishness to do the things that he shows every week that he's willing to do in the run game, that's pretty special. It's really special.
When did you start doing that, giving up the WWE belt?
We're talking about the belts now.
Yeah.
We started that, I want to say it was after, I want to say it was our first year here. And, and I've always been where, reward the behavior that you're wanting to try to see on film or at practice. And so, like, my whole thing was, like, hey, I'm going to make it like there's certain things that doesn't take talent that I want to see every day. And so we have a couple of belts that we give out. It started off with, we called it a finisher belt. And the finisher belt was just, I want to see guys getting downfield. I want to see guys helping guys up. I want to see guys around the ball. And we're watching the film on who's the first guy to go down there to the ball carrier. And it's just trying to ingrain with them. We're always wanting to finish. Always finish. Whatever we do, like, it doesn't take talent to finish. That's just a decision to make. And so I was wanting to try to really highlight that. And just like, hey, in each week we keep up with finishing points. We call them finishing points. And then we hand out that belt at the end of the year. Then we put the face of the belt on the wall. So when you walk in, you'll see, like, all right, this year so-and-so was the finisher. And then we added another belt where we called it the tag team champs. And so, like, and then that's whoever had the best combination block. And it's not just for offensive line. Like, it can also be like a wide receiver with the tight ends, because they've won it as well. And Drake has also been he's carried around that finisher belt as well with some of the blocks that he's had in the run game. And so it's rewarded throughout the team. But it's been fun because, we try to have fun. If I can't have fun with the guys and stuff like that, like, it's gonna be hard for me. And they enjoy it, and it's been something that's been really fun, and they've enjoyed it. And at the end of the year, we hand it out, and they get to keep it, and so it's been pretty cool.
Who won this past week to do the three belts?
Well, we had Matthew Bergeron was our finisher, and then our tag team champs this past week was Chris Lindstrom and Ryan Newsel with it.
How often has the wide receiver won? I know Drake, I think, got it in like week 2 or something.
Yep. And then the previous week, he won it the tag team belt. And because you just want, and what the thing about it is like what I said, like what's our way for the offensive line room to show our appreciation for like Drake when he's willing to go in there and make those tough blocks that happen in the box, and going and digging guys out. And so like I told the guys, I was like, hey man, like this is outstanding when you have the guys on the outside willing to do this in the run game. Let's reward these guys. And then so it's funny because we brought like it's just, and they're like absolutely, because they love it. And so like it's been passed out several times to some of those guys with it. So
You mentioned a phrase, growth mindset, that we've heard Raheem use more than once. And obviously the idea of let's get better, but is probably common in every football team in the country. But to hear him say it over and over obviously makes me feel like it's something that he particularly stresses. And I'm curious, how do you see him emphasizing it, and like what kind of things is he wanting out of his team to have?
Like each week obviously it's a new opponent and presents a new set of issues. And for us, like whatever this past week showed us, something else is going to come up in this week. And so you can't rely on what happened. It's like, all right, so how can I get better this week? What can I do today to have me ready for Sunday? And it's each day with it. And then when you go on the practice field, the same thing of applying that now. And then when you can take it from the practice field and you see it in the meetings, and you try to just keep stacking those days where you show guys, hey, they're growing. They understand what we're talking about with this. Because it's always like, you were talking about the past, like I can't think of, all I'm thinking of is the fundamental work that we can continue to improve on. It's just trying to have that mindset of like, what is it that we can get better at? What can I do more of? When you have these opportunities, let's not pass these opportunities. Let's not let these slip away. Like, what can we do to make sure that we are at our best when it does happen in a game?
Well, just want to say, start off by saying, congrats to our team. It was a good team win last week. Winning on the road, those games are pretty hard when you play an NFC South team and then you play them for a second time and then you play them on the road. I give a lot of credit to our head coach. Starts from up top, having the mindset right going into the week, and then our guys being resilient and playing all 4 quarters and finishing it to the very end. We have a lot to improve on as a special teams unit. I thought the guys did a great job just being locked into the present, whether you're talking about pinning them down inside the 5, some big tackles by Tyler Algier on punt, and then flipping the field too after the safety, BP hitting the ball all the way down there and having good coverage units by Hamilton. Good to have him back. Red making a play out there. Then when we talk about Red, a 4th and 3 stop on the fake punt. It was actually like a tackle for loss, and that generated points from that. We got a touchdown off of that fake punt. I thought Avery did a great job with decision making. He's our quarterback on both punt and punt return. He did a good job in punt with the protection, and then on punt return, getting vertical with the ball, getting 14 yards, and that led to a score for us on offense. We're excited about this week going and playing Dallas at home. They have a really great special teams unit with the returner who is dynamic, get east and west with the football, and then their coordinator, he does a lot of great things on special teams where you talk about fakes, you talk about explosive returns. The kicker, obviously Aubrey, could kick it from 65, 66 yards. So they could put points on the board as soon as they get to the 50-yard line. So we're excited about this week going into this game, and I'll open up to any questions.
Yeah, Coach, did Cordero, Cordero.
Yep.
Did he see something there, or was he just alert as he saw the ball coming, or what was what led to, it looked like he was in the right place at the right time, but I know he probably saw something there to tip him off.
Well, throughout the week, we always work certain situations based on down and distance. All of our calls were on punt return. We're on defense until the ball's punted. So we're always being alert of any time they try to create a fake to extend a drive. And we don't want to put our defense back on the field. So it goes into the call, those guys being locked into the call and being able to execute, then the players bringing that call to life and being locked in. Not only was it Hodge making it, Hodge made the tackle, but Ross Dwelly and D'Angelo Malone did a great job getting vertical and setting the edge to make that ball carrier bubble out. And then obviously you talk about Red being locked in. If you look at the play, the PP starts on one side, 37, and he moves to the other side, and Hodge does a good job tracking and locating him before the ball snapped. That's why he triggered so fast. Because our guys understand we're on defense until the ball's punted. And then once the ball's punted, we transition to offense. D-Led, if that answers your question.
Yeah, that does very much so. Thank you.
Just having a guy like, Darryl Hodge, who always seems to, be in the right place at the right time, and just has a nose for making plays on special teams. How much of an advantage is that?
I mean, it's great. I spoke about him before, Mark, like having an offensive player that could cover and make tackles is huge. And with his experience from him getting into the league as a college free agent, playing for the Rams, and then going on to play for Cleveland. He was one of the top tacklers, I believe, in 2019 in the NFL season for Cleveland. Then we played against him in 2021 when he was with the Lions. Actually converted a fake punt on us when he was the gunner. They threw a pass to him, and then being a blessing to have him here in 2022 and just being a core contributor week in and week out, day in and day out. He leads by example. He works his butt off day in and day out. He's a student of the game. He's very intelligent, and he has that rare attribute of just size, speed, athletic ability, ball skills. He's a phenomenal special teams player, and he hasn't even played his best game yet. So I'm really excited and very fortunate to work with him.
Coach, what makes Turpin so dangerous? Averaging 34 a kickoff return, 34-7. He took a punt back already this year.
He's dynamic in space. You hear me talk about it before. His speed is real. You can see it on film. And it takes a different mindset, D-Led, when you see a guy that has the speed that he has, but they run full speed while people are running full speed at them. He could get east and west. He could get to the edge of coverage units, or he could put his foot in the ground and get vertical right away. He's fearless with the football. And he's going to take chances, whether he's catching the ball 9 deep in the end zone or on punt return. If there's guys running downfield and he catches the ball in traffic, he's going to look to make a play each and every time. He could break arm tackles, and he's fearless. And you could tell that with their special teams coordinator, John Fossil, they have a strong belief in what he could do and his abilities as a returner, and then the blockers out there blocking for him. So it's going to be a great challenge this week for our specialists to do a great job with kick location, and then our core players, when we talk about coverage, being able to play with great leverage and make sure that we get them down on contact.
In the coaches' meeting, you all have to decide whether to kick to him.
What do you think, D-Lab? What you think?
I'm not kicking to him.
Okay, yeah. When you play against a dynamic returner, yeah. Hey, when you play against a dynamic returner, you want to limit his ops. You want to limit his opportunities. The more opportunities you give returner, that's the more chances they have to be a difference maker. You got to think, as a return team, you're the first play on offense. So as a defense or coverage unit, you want to limit explosives. The way that you do that is limit their ops, or you do a great job of just playing with great leverage on the football and making sure that you have population tackle. The more guys that you have as a defense or a coverage unit to the ball carrier, the less opportunities they have to get explosives.
And Cool's been missing, when he missed in the exhibition season, and the one earlier was left. I hadn't seen him miss right. Did he overcompensate, or did y'all talk about that kick?
We talk about every kick, D-Lad.
Yeah.
Whether the ball goes to the uprights, or if he doesn't make it, or if it's at practice. Every kick we evaluate. And there's times where he has great contact on the ball, and the ball just does a different thing. That's why the football's shaped the way it is. So when it comes to those situations, whether he misses a kick left or misses a kick right, or he makes a kick, we evaluate everything. We evaluate the entire process. For us as a special teams unit, we don't get fixated on the results. We take care of the little things. We stay process-driven. The results always come. And there's a reason why he's one of the more accurate kickers in the NFL. There's a reason why we've won a lot of games because of Koo as our kicker. So we're very blessed to have him. We're excited to continue to work with him. And his best ball's yet to come. You think about, he played the Saints. That was his best game in his career. You know, we go 4 for 4, to hit the end of the game, hit a 58-yarder career long. That was his best game, best contact. There's been games where he's made 5 kicks in a game, scored all of our points, and he didn't feel personally that was his best game because of the way he hit the ball. So we could get fixated on makes or misses, or we could stay process-driven and knowing that the results will come. And he's been doing a phenomenal job.
We got misses in the last 2 games, though. Correct.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Coach, speaking of John Fossil, what do you know about him, and what can you expect from his special teams units in the game coming up this Sunday?
You expect that you're going to get their best shot. They're going to swing. They're going to swing for the fences when it comes to the return game, coverage units. Those guys are always locked in. When you watch John Fossil's units, you can see that those guys play hard and they're playing with intent and they're trying to create explosive plays, whether it's in the coverage units or in the return units. And then you talk about their kicker, who's a Pro Bowl kicker, All-Pro kicker, Aubrey. I mean, he's made him from 65 yards. There was one he made from 66, but there was a delay of game, so it didn't count. He's a strong leg. I know when you talk about those guys, when they talk about just overall, they're looking to put points on the board, whether it's in the kicking game or like field goals, whether it's them blocking punts, whether it's the return game, whatever the case may be, they're going to look to put points on the board.
Going back to Darryl and that fake punt, I'm just like, it can be such a rare thing sometimes. Just like how much of that process prep goes into that to be like locked in and ready in that moment when it comes?
It goes back to, there's a lot of process and there's a lot of prep each and every week, and that's one of the harder jobs for me as a coach, and Coach King and I, just making sure we give these guys the right looks and anticipate and try to be a step ahead when it comes to certain situations within the game and certain calls. And then also too, I could call a certain call, but it's up to our players to bring those calls to life. So the term we use is small menu, big understanding. We try to keep the menu small for those guys so they have a big understanding of what we're trying to do as a punt return unit and what they're trying to do as a punt team and what things can happen. Okay, what's their stance like? Okay, why is he standing to this side? Okay, when they stand to this side, what are they trying to accomplish? So when it comes to our players, we try to operate in that fashion each and every day, whether we're talking about punt return, kickoff, or kickoff return. But when we talk about punt return, doing that, it's a big thing for those guys just be locked into the present. Understand, like, hey, we don't care about the snap count because they're in control of the snap count. Hey, is the snapper moving the ball? Are they hard counting? Okay, which way is the punter trying to punt? Okay, why is the slot aligned that way? All those different things come into account, and I can't create complex plays for those guys or put in a huge menu for our players if they have to understand all those little details. So that's the battle that we fight each and every day as a special teams unit, just making sure that we're keeping things concise with those guys, keeping a smaller menu so they understand everything. They don't understand just what they're doing on that play, but what can happen on that play and what that player they're going against is trying to accomplish. So there's a lot of different things.
And with Koo, you talked about how you go over every single kick. Do you ever do that in game, or is it always like a post-mortem afterwards?
A combination of both. It just depends on the situation. Koo, myself, Pinion, and Liam and King, we're all on the same page. So if there's a kick that's made and you could tell by the kick, by the way the ball is spinning, you could tell certain things happen on that play. If there's a kick that's missed, it's one of the best things about coaching. Sometimes the best coaching is sometimes not over coaching. Like, I could go up to him and be like, oh, you missed the kick. And he could be like, I know, I'm the one that kicked it. So sometimes I don't have to go into super detail because we're all on the same page. If there's something that didn't go right, the biggest thing for me as a coach, I don't need to go address it if they already know what the mistake was. Now, if a player doesn't know they don't know what the mistake is, that's my job as a coach to make sure that they're in the present and they understand what happened, whether it was good or bad, what happened on that play. But sometimes some of the best coaching is not over coaching it when it comes to whatever I'm coaching, whether it's a specialist, whether I'm coaching a punt returner, kickoff returner, or a cover player.
So in the last one, did you let him kind of go through his process, or did you?
The cool thing about our specialists, I treat them like just players. They're no different than the other players on our team. And some specialists, they don't want to be spoken to after a kick. Some guys, They want to go look at the surface and overcomplicate things and be like, oh, well, this happened, that. At the end of the day, is my job to make sure I understand the individual that I'm dealing with when it comes to a player or a specialist and know what makes them tick, know when to approach them, when not to approach them, when to give them tough love, when to give them motivation, when to inspire them. All those different things come into play. So it's a game-by-game, play-by-play situation when it comes to me coaching and having adjustments in game.
Yesterday, Jesse was talking about the origin of Crash Out Crew. So he mentioned that you guys came up with his name. I was just kind of curious your thoughts and how that kind of came to be.
It came to be last year, like, during OTAs and camp. We just broke it down one day and it sounded about right. So we named the Crash Out Crew.
How has it evolved this season, especially with the secondary doing so well? Is that kind of like a mantra for you guys?
No, it's like I said, last year when we started, it just stuck. So we just try to make sure we keep it a thing, and it's slowly becoming one just, by play and how we go about our business.
How exactly did it come about? Was it something that just have you heard it before?
Yeah, that's it. Me and JB came up with it, but I want to say during my week 1 mic'd up versus Carolina, last year when we had broke it down, I had emphasized it and said it, and we've been carrying it along the whole season.
Jesse also said that there's some honorary defensive linemen on the Crash Out Crew. So is there criteria to be named a part of this Crash Out Crew?
Yeah, everybody part of Crash Out. The criteria is really just, I told JB the other day, anybody could be a part of it. You could be a part of it.
Okay.
It just got to be about your business. Stand on business.
Gotcha.
What do you know about the Bloody Knuckles crew?
I don't know who that is.
Apparently that's Jesse and Nate, and just the emphasis of punching the ball out.
I needed that. That's who I need to be on then. I need to get with the Bloody Knuckles crew because them two, they definitely, that's what they do. That's their game. So that's a crew to be a part of.
What do you learn from Jesse? Just, it's been over a season now.
Just, being somebody who watching film and going out there and really trusting your instincts and going out there and playing at a high level. I feel like he brought that to our defense last year. The way he came week 1 with 2 turnovers out the gate, just seeing what we saw in film and him trusting and going to make plays, and that's how he plays that's his whole play style, just trying to find ways to get the ball. So whether it be a punch out, interception, deflection, he always thinking ball first.
Going off that, how have you all been able to bounce off each other, and how have you maybe seen him help improve your game?
Trust. I feel like that was the thing we built. The chemistry last year was a lot of trust. He allowed me to be myself and go out there and play aggressive and not really have to think about anything over top, and just allowing me to just be more aggressive and play my game.
Talk a little bit about the Cowboys offense and what you guys are seeing and what you got to prepare for.
A lot of versatility. They got a different scheme of offense, trying to get the ball out and spread us out, try to throw in, run the ball like every other offense, but they're gonna get the ball to their best guys and try to win the game.
What are you seeing on tape with CD Lamb and just the difference that he can make on the offense?
Yeah, CD, dynamic receiver. We all know you gotta watch where he's at on film, and at the end of the day, prevent him from making big plays and try to turn the game over.